So welcome to today's video, which is going to be about how I plan out our homeschool year. So I just want to start out by saying that for us personally, we do our homeschool schedule from August to April. And the reason that we do that is because in our family, my husband, he works as a tax accountant, and that is his busy time. So from January to April, we pretty much see very little of him. And so when April rolls around, we just pretty much want to be able to be a normal family again and not have to be doing homeschool days. So we're able to travel. We are able to not worry about a homeschool schedule really at that point. So that's just what works for us. So the way that I start out is I always print out these yearly calendars, and you can print those out for free. And right here you have that I circled August 3rd, and the reason I did that is because we always start school the first Monday of August, and you as a homeschooler can decide your own schedule of what you want to do. So for us, we do 180 days, which also equals to 36 weeks. So I always circle the first Monday, and then what I do is I will go through and I will highlight or mark off what days that I know we are going to be out of school for a holiday or for whatever reason that may be. And for our thing, it's always just normally the same thing. We take about 3 weeks in December, and we take a week in November for Thanksgiving. And then what I do is I then go back up here and I begin to count out how many days that I have in each month. And I of course, I don't count my holidays. And then I move on to the next calendar year, that is. And I go through until I get to 180. And for us, that's going to be April 30th. So I know that April 30th is going to be our last official day of homeschool. So that's how I figure out my start date, our holidays, our end date, and all of that good stuff. So that is part one. I have 5 parts to this, so that's part one. So now we're going to move on to part 2. Okay everyone, so in part 2, I'm going to talk about how I go through and I decide how much work I know that we're going to have to get done each day so that we can complete our full curriculum within that 180 days or the 36 weeks. Now, I understand because I've done other curriculum. We currently do A.C.E, but I've done BJU, ABECA, Christian Light Education. We've done all sorts of different type of curriculum, and I'm going to show you something. So for the most part, if you get curriculums like ABECA or BJU, you will see that not only on the bottom, if it will maybe work here for me, but if you can see there we go, we come into focus, that it'll say what lesson you are on. And generally, I think in this is English 6 for BJU, that you will see it written at the bottom of the page. In addition to that, generally with curriculums like that, they will give you an outline of how many days of school it is and what pages and all that good stuff that you will need to do for that day. But I have a little formula that I use when I have books such as this Spanish book that we used to use, where it is not divided up into, say, lesson 1, lesson 2, but it's just a book that has page numbers, something like that, or even something like Dr. Bonafide, where it just also has page numbers, and it doesn't have lesson 1, lesson 2, or it doesn't come with an outline to say what you're going to do. So I'm going to show you the formula I use with our A.C.E curriculum. So I also want to just add in here, I understand that this is not the way that necessarily A.C.E recommends you doing this or has planned out or laid out that this is the way you should do it. But this is the way that we do it, because right now I know if I gave a card to my son and told him to put down how many pages or what pages or whatever his goals were right now, we would not make it through right now. We're working on that and we are progressing in that direction, but right now it's just not where we are. So what I do is I look at the pace and I see that it has how many pages that it has. So this one has 49 pages. In A.C.E, they get 12 of these for a subject, at least I know in elementary and middle school. So or up to the grades that we are at. So we're at 6th. So this has 49. So let me just show you how I do this. So 49, I take 49 and I add 2 to that number to calculate and to allot for the test. So plus 2, and then I am going to multiply that by 12, because remember, that's how many paces that we have. So that gives us 612. So then what I do is I divide that number by 36, and then I also divide that number that I get by 5. So the 36 was because there's 36 weeks in our school year, and the 5 that I'm dividing by here is because that is how many days we have per school week. So I get 30.4. So what I do with that number is I know to stay on track, we need to average around 3.4, say 3 to 4 pages a day to be able to do that. So I also go a step further and I will go through each pace as I'm writing things out, which I will show you more in depth when I get to this. But this will lead into the next section. So I will go through and I will look at each page and decide, is this something that I think Noah struggles with? Is this something, and sometimes you just don't know until you get there. But for the most part, you might have a little bit of an understanding of if you're going to have more of a struggle that day with the pages that you're presenting him to do, or what's going on. And so what I will do is, if I know that we need to get, say, 4 pages done that day, then what I will do is maybe, say, do 2 or 3 that day, and then somewhere else in that pace add a page or 2 onto another day where I know that workload is a little bit easier for him. So the next thing I'm going to do is going to show you how I literally go through and take the information I have showed you and plan out the entire year. Part 3, and what I do here is I have created an Excel spreadsheet that has my days, and then it also has the subjects across the top that I'm going to be using. Down this side here in the column, I have my numbers, and it equals 4 pages, and I get all the way up to my 180 days. So basically what I do is I go through each pace and I look at the pages, keeping in mind the formula of how many pages that we need to average. It's not concrete, but we just need to average that, and go through and then plan out what pages he's going to do each day. So for English 1061, he's going to do 1 through 3. And then day 2, 4 through, so 1 through 3, 4 through 6, 7 through 10 on day 3. And I just go through all the paces. I put what pace it is, and then if it's a self-test, I put ST. If it's a checkup, I put CU. And that information is important to write on this sheet, at least it is for us, and I'll tell you why when we get to step 5 and step 4 as well. So we go ahead and I do this for every subject, for every pace. I know this looks incredibly overwhelming and like a lot of work and very, very messy, but the thing that happens is it makes for a smooth year, and it also, at least for us, and the other thing is that it actually did not take me that long at all. I did all of this like a couple hours, maybe 2 days, if that, and all of it was done. So I then know, and I have a better idea of what day exactly each pace or each subject for that school year is going to end. So I can plan out more activities or field trips or our end of this school year testing, and just have a better idea of when we're going to do that, so we can just plan things out a little bit better. Alright guys, so that was step 3. The next thing is a very short step, but I'm going to show you what step 4 is. Okay, so what I do is I take the information that I gathered and created on step 3 on these forms right here. Let me just zoom in a little bit. Sorry, my battery died and had to change it out, so I think I lost my position here. So I take this information, and then I always get a student planner. I generally end up getting it off of Amazon, and I transfer all of that information into this planner. So as you can see, for August 3rd, I just transferred, so I have all my subjects lined up here, and then I just transfer what pace and what pages he is going to be doing each day. So this is my copy. Once the homeschool year starts, this is stored away in case we would happen to need it, but this would be just super overwhelming for me to look at because it's just so messy. But I take this and I transfer it onto a student planner that I actually keep for me, and I just go through and I write out his entire year of what he's supposed to do. I do not write this in pen. I write this in pencil because there's always, I don't think I've ever had a year that I've not had to go and adjust something, but it normally doesn't take that time. And then of course, if it's a holiday, I just mark off the week or whatever it may be, and then we just know what we do. Now, what I was saying when I said to add the SU or the CU for checkup, or ST, like, or whatever curriculum you're using, like if there's a test or a checkup or a quiz, whatever it may be, the reason I go ahead and I write that that is what is in those pages or that subject for that day is because it's helpful that when I look ahead, I'm able to know that what he has coming up. And that's also why I really like having it planned out on a planner like this, so that I can look at the whole week and we can really just see what things are looking like. Alright, so let's go on to the last and final step. Okay, so now we're to the last and final step, and this is step 5. This is where I transfer this information onto Noah's A.C.E. goal cards. So these are double-sided, and so I will write in at the top his subjects, and then underneath I will write in what pages. So this is also where I would write ST or CU or test or whatever those codes are. No one knows what they mean. That shows him that he can glance at this card and know tomorrow I have a test coming up, or whatever that may be, or at the end of the week I have a spelling test. So he will know what is coming up, what he needs to really make sure that he has mastered, that he needs to learn, and that he has learned that. So I do these, of course, I do one card, but both sides at one time. So say on a Friday, I will prep the next 2 weeks, so this card is ready when Monday comes and he has it for the next 2 weeks. The reason I do that is because these cards, I think, I don't want to have to rebuy the cards, basically. And so I have made my own card before, but we just generally like these cards. So even if I have to change or rearrange something in this is much easier to do rather than having to go back and do this and the goal card. So I just do these at 2 weeks at intervals at a time, and then give him the card, and then at the end of the Friday before the next period starts, then I will give him his card for the next 2 weeks. So that's it. That's how I plan out when our start date is, our end date is, how I divide up and know how much work we need to be doing each day, how I plan out the year, how I transfer it into my planner, which finally ends to our daily work of what Noah is going to be doing each day. So that's pretty much how I do things. If you have any questions, I love to hear from you. Again, this is just the way that we do it. I know that ACE has its own method, and we strive to get there. But for right now, this is just kind of the way that we do things. But I'd love to hear how you guys implement it and how things work out for you. Thanks, guys. We will see you all, or hopefully, in the next video.